Hi there, I'm Scott D. Forsyth, professional voice actor and pop culture enthusiast. Today, we're talking about a remarkable Marvel movie with a remarkable guest.
Yo mama.
Yo mama. We have Vicky Forsyth from Forsyth Fantasy Hour and a previous Best of All episode and more Best of All episodes to come here on the show today. So welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Because you're a huge fan of Best of All.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best.
Of all?
Of all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we'll be going over the who's, how's, what's, and why we recommend Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings to a general audience, thus claiming it best of all. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get right back to the show. So we're talking about the 2021 Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, which is your retroactive movie of 2021. Because we do that every year, in case people have not seen Best of the Year, which is our fan favorite, fan favorite series we do on ScottyMeLad.
Yep.
Which spawned this show.
Oh.
Can you believe it? We made a spin-off.
Oh, we have a spin-off. And I'm in it.
And you're in it.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's first tackle who is Shang-Chi. So the movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I will just be calling Shang-Chi from going forward in the rest of this episode, even though, spoilers, there will be a second movie coming out soon.
Yay.
But right now, we're just talking about the first movie.
Right.
The character is inspired, or the movie is inspired by a character from the 1970s, a comic book martial arts character. He had the same name, who has a very interesting past, to say the least. And he was created by Marvel Comics, not by Stan Lee or Jack Kirby. There was somebody else, a few other writers who made him. I would credit them, but I also don't want to, given that his original origins were pretty racist. So
then we won't.
We'll just say that he was introduced in Marvel Comics. And then the movie we're talking about today is the 25th film in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which started in 2008 with Iron Man.
Really?
And most recently, as of this week of release, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is coming out. And we'll get back to talking a little bit about that, because
that was my other favorite.
That was your other favorite. This upcoming one, that might be your movie of 2022. Could be.
Oh, it could be.
Steep competition for 2022, because again, Top Gun Maverick came out this year. And there was another movie that came out this year that I can't think of the top of my head that was like exceptional. Oh, you didn't see it. It was Nope. But like, I mean,
nope.
But Top Gun Maverick, gonna be hard to beat.
See, that's a yep. That's not a nope.
That's a yep.
Yep.
Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings is a movie that was directed and co-written by Destin Daniel Cretton and stars Simu Liu. That is how you say his name.
Simu Liu.
It's a lot easier than he makes it out to be. He apparently for a long time he has always said that people have struggled with saying his name. So he's like, just call me Simu.
Yeah.
Hey, so Vicky and I were so excited to talk about Shang-Chi that we didn't cover the movie's actual plot. Whoopsies. So, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is an action superhero film that follows the life of Sean, a.k.a. Shu Shang-Chi, a mild-mannered fella living in the States who's suddenly pulled back into his father's criminal enterprise that needs his help to find a secret magical world. So we'll get into more talking about the production and creation of the movie, but since you're here, what did you like most about Shang-Chi?
Oh my goodness. As a Marvel fan, I have liked them all, and for different reasons, but it's like, for me, I think this one was the best. It truly, truly was. I mean, I love the storyline. I love the humor. For me, you know, if you stick humor in, I'll watch just about anything. Because what was the one that was kind of like rated R? Not Dead. Is it Deadpool?
Okay, that has humor in it?
Yeah.
That's Deadpool.
Okay.
Yes.
So I normally wouldn't have watched a movie like that, But what made it good for me was the humor.
Yeah, so humor is a very big thing
For me.
for you, and that totally makes sense.
Yeah. And so like with the characters, I mean, even in the fight scenes, they even made the fight scenes kind of enjoyable because, you know, like and the banter between Sean and Katie.
Katie, yeah.
Yeah, because she goes, wait a minute, so you changed your name from Shang to Sean? Seriously? I mean, I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And she didn't know a lot of these things. And so we, as she's learning stuff, we're learning. And so I also felt like this movie did a really good job with that. Sometimes these movies just expect you to know stuff. And it's not necessarily like I'm lost halfway through. And it's not until you explain stuff to me and then I go, okay, well, now I need to watch it again.
Right.
I found that this movie did it all just perfectly.
Yes, I agree as well. So the movie has a lot of flashbacks because, again, this is an origin story. We've never met Shang-Chi before.
Right.
And now we're meeting him for the first time in a very, very big universe. And so in the movie, we get to see so much of when he was a kid. We get to see scenes that aren't even about him, that are about his father.
About the father, yeah.
Yeah.
And the mother. And then that beautiful, magical place, that very, very special, you know, like the special effects was phenomenal.
Right. Hold on. I do like all of that, but I want to stay on this topic of talking about that the movie's easy to follow.
Yes.
You weren't very lost in it.
No.
Like, so we do get to see these histories, and I'm assuming that a lot of people have seen this movie. So I mean, I'm not going to give anything away.
Right.
But one of the characters, I mean, it opens the movie, who has lived thousands and thousands of years, and we get to see his full story in a really easy to understand way. I remember we even watched this with Mimi.
My mother.
Your mother, my grandmother.
Who's 84.
And she loved it. And she could follow it so easily because of the way that the movie was directed.
That's what I'm saying.
And the flashbacks, I remember when we first saw it in theaters and walked out of it, you were like, I can't believe how easy that movie was to follow.
Right.
Even because there's a part where, you know, Shang-Chi's there and he's looking at one of the, like, statue or the like pillars he had to punch as a kid to get his training, and it immediately cuts to him as a kid, and there's no confusion of like, oh wait, he's a kid now. It's like, no, we know this is in the past.
Yes.
And then there will be times where they cut back to that and you go, oh hey, this is back in the past again. So yes, I am 100% with you that it was so easy to follow. We'll get to the humor and the fight scenes a little bit later. But then you were talking about, you were very impressed with the special effects.
Yeah. Sorry. The special effects and the beautiful creatures. You know, when you go to the other world thing, if you haven't seen it, they go to this other world. And so you can't even describe it. I mean, you just have to watch it, and it's beautiful. And then you learn a lot about the past and stuff. But then they have these really amazing creatures from this adorable little thing called Morris, who you're like, it's a walking pillow, and you can't tell which is its butt and which is its head.
If it even has a butt or a head.
Well, they kind of address that.
Right.
But he's just so lovable. You know, he's kind of like, no, he's not. But anyway, so...
Were you going to say Baby Yoda?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, wait a minute. So everything's all about Baby Yoda. However, in this instant, this little thing is so cute and so odd. But yet you just grow to love him.
I like that too, because I think it's a great depiction of... Because there's a lot of creatures in the movie as the movie goes on. And it's like we get to see these very beautiful, magical creatures from this very, very good, nice, magical world. And then later on in the movie, there are these nasty, scary creatures that look so different.
Yeah.
And there is that neat contrast of you can clearly tell what's a good world and what's a bad world. Even though it is very black and white, it is...
yeah, because they have like dinosaurs. Or is it?
I don't remember there are dinosaurs in the movie.
Oh,
There's
I'm
something
sorry.
else, but
it's a dragon.
Okay, yeah, there are dragons.
Dragon.
Yes.
Okay, so I got my D word wrong.
Okay.
Okay, I meant to say dragon. But that brings me to another point. The costumes. Oh my goodness, the costumes were again phenomenal. And did you know that they were handmade? A lot of
I did not.
because I watched the special back effects stuff.
Oh, you did your homework.
I did my homework. I was watching the ones where they were making these costumes, and it took thousands of people hours, when you combined them all together, because these costumes had to have these little bitty things. And I mean, they were small. They were picking them up and either sewing them on or pasting them, gluing them on one by one. That I forget which costume it was that had maybe like 40,000 of these things hand put on there to make it the effect of make it look like a dragon skin.
Yeah, that is probably the costume that you see Shang-Chi wear at the end of the movie, and you see it in a lot of the promotional material. It's his red costume with the little like divots in it.
But they all are like that.
Yes.
And it's like and when you see this cast of people, the people in the background, because there's the auntie and there's all these other older people in the village and all that. They all have these beautiful costumes, and it's quite an undertaking.
And they were real costumes too, I know you were very impressed with the special effects.
Yeah.
I was as well. There were some people who were not. There were some people who were disappointed in the final act of the movie that it is very, what people say, CGI heavy.
Some people you just can't please.
That is true. But I do think it's also good to point out that it's like, okay, yeah, the creatures, they were CGI.
Yeah.
I think they look great.
Me
Half
too.
of them looked like Pokemon,
Right.
which makes sense because Pokemon's inspired by different mythologies, and these were a lot of Chinese mythology characters. But to reiterate that, like, the fight scenes and...
I mean, it's like, hello, we don't have dragons in the here and now.
that we know of.
So therefore, if you had to CG some of those things, I mean,
Right.
whatever.
But the costumes, and it's like, that doesn't take away the attention to detail and production that went into making this movie.
Right.
Like you were saying, you were very impressed with the costumes.
Yeah.
As was I. It's a really, really special movie. Oh, and I was going to say just another little, I'm glad you reminded me of this. The little dragon scale costumes that they spent so much time on, it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was actually weaved into the plot. The whole dragon scale things was a really big part of, especially near the end. So yeah, much like you, I'm very impressed with everything that went into the making of this movie. I think it is the best Marvel movie like made and written and done for a multitude of different reasons. But one of them is that it's just a solid movie. I have later on, I'll jump a little bit of ahead to so where does this movie fit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
So will he show up in other things and stuff?
Yes. And
coming forward.
That's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
They had planned that with Simu. That's why they cast Simu, because he wasn't a huge actor before this. Now he is.
Yes.
And he actually tweeted out, I think he did like stunts before, and he was like, hey, who do I need to talk to be Shang-Chi?
Oh.
And then they just reached out to him. They're like, okay, well, you just want to do it. Sure. Because again, it's kind of hard to make this character good. And I'm sure that when Marvel was making this movie, they were not really sure how to tackle this character because he had so much history with the Mandarin and him. And it's like all of that was like these really awful Asian stereotypes. And so I know one big part of Destin Daniel Cretton's manifesto in making this movie was breaking a bunch of Asian stereotypes.
Oh, okay.
And essentially reinventing Shang-Chi. This character's been around since the 70s.
Okay.
And so they've just been trying to work on making this character not just work for the Marvel stories as a whole in the comics, but also for the fact they want to undo a lot of the harm that they did. And they had been slowly doing that, but then they found the right person to do that, or the right two people to do that, Simu and Destin Daniel Cretton. It was like those two people loved the character so much and wanted to do something for the Asian community in a very similar way of what happened with Black Panther.
But these guys are not racist.
Oh, absolutely not.
No, because you kind of ran one thing into the other. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just giving an overview on the character, and the reason this movie works is because it took something that was initially hateful from way back in the past that Marvel essentially wanted to forget about. That's part of the reason why in Iron Man 3, when the Mandarin was introduced, who is Trevor, the character that we see later in Shang-Chi, it was such a weird way to use that character because they made him like, oh, he's this actor. He's not really this bad guy. He's just playing a terrorist. Oh, and he became his own character and he's really, really great. But the reason that happened is because Marvel's like, we don't know how to even handle this character because there's so much harm in it. And so then it just took so much time for them to find the right people, to find the right timing, to see it's like, okay, hey, we can take a chance on these people who really, really care about this character and really care about this movie and make something truly great.
Yep.
Because I talked about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that's coming out in the next couple of days. If you're by the time you're listening to this in the past, it'll already be out.
Right.
But it's like Black Panther did a lot for superheroes and specifically African superheroes. And so because Marvel took a chance on that property, they were able to take a chance on Shang-Chi. And it's like, that's why this movie is so good. That's why it's so positive, because it's taking all of these elements from something that was initially harmful and making it something truly their own. And now the first instance of when people think of this character, they've completely rewritten Shang-Chi's history for the better. So now when I talk about Shang-Chi, you're going to think of, oh, this really great movie. We talked about that this is the 25th Marvel movie in the Marvel MCU. It's like, do people need to watch this movie, watch all the other movies to catch up with this one? They don't.
No.
Not at all.
No, this one stands on its own very well.
And I think that's so remarkable, and I see that that's where we're heading to in a lot of Marvel stuff, because it's become so big. Even my friends, I was like, oh, hey, did you watch this? And they're like, no, we haven't caught up with that. And I'm like, oh, out of my friend group and out of you, like, we're the only two that are really watching every Marvel stuff that comes out, because we're big fans. I love the series. But they are now making properties that you can just watch and enjoy in the world.
Because like since I have never read a comic book ever, and so I've seen a lot of the movies, but like with this one, you can sit down, like my mother, sit down and watch it, and from start to finish, you're just watching this one movie. And when they do throw somebody in, like Mr. Wong.
Oh, yeah. Wong shows up. Abomination, even who you now know more because of She-Hulk.
Yeah. But so they come in. Well, to me, it's just part of this movie. Yeah. And so then later I go, oh, he's so-and-so or whatever. But you see him in this movie and it just works. So it's not like it has to, you have to have all of this post knowledge that you do have, and that's great. But as just a regular person, no, this is a movie that you can just watch and enjoy. Right,
because there's so much to enjoy. Literally everything about this movie is meant to be enjoyed in it, which is so neat. Because I can't say that with all of them. With all of them,
no. And the fight scenes, I know a lot of people love these big, drawn out, ginormous fight scenes. I don't. And so I'm watching like these cities being destroyed. Everybody's slamming into this and that and throwing a bus. And I'm just like, I find that annoying. I'm like, all right, who's going to clean up this mess? I'm just saying.
You're like, who's going to clean this up? Millions are dead. Are you going to deal with that? No, they're just all dead. Okay, cool.
Who's going to deal with this? But in this movie, of course they have a fight scene, but it's kind of like it's contained in the bus or something like that, And then of course in the big fight scene, in the other world, it had to take place because that's what it's all about.
There's also clear motivation. We were talking about this earlier the other day about like fight scenes in particular, like role-playing games, and where it's like that same thing. Like we like watching stuff where people are playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, but sometimes it's like, hey, what episode are you on? Oh, the one where they're still doing a really, really big fight. It's like, it's so much more engaging when you watch a like conflict, like the bus, which is probably the most famous scene in Shang-Chi. And
it's funny.
It's very funny. And it's really enjoyable because you exactly know what the stakes are.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi is the only one in that bus to have the skill. Well, There's only 2 people on that bus to have the skills to solve this situation, and it's Shang-Chi and Katie. Katie, because she's an amazing driver, she goes to the bus and is handling the bus so it doesn't kill a bunch of people on the road.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi is there to stop the people, the 10 ring
who come after
criminals.
him. But he handles it very well.
Because he's the only person on the bus that could. And what he's doing is he's not trying to kill the guys and make them all scared.
No.
He's actually trying to protect all the people on the bus.
Right.
So that's the scene. It plays out like a dialogue scene. It plays out like an acting scene because everybody, you know what everybody's motivations are, you know what the stakes are. And then it's really fun and funny in a really exciting way. And that makes it more enjoyable when the bus gets cut in half and then all these people start falling out. Then, oh no, the stakes are raised because he doesn't want
people to get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that's the entire antithesis of the movie. And literally every single fight scene is doing something like that. Even if it's a car chase, it's they're not trying to just stop the bad guy. They're trying to get away. That's why they're in the car. It's so clever.
Yeah.
And it makes me so excited to see more movies like this because Shang-Chi was received very, very well. Yeah. Outside of the little CGI stuff that people were going to moan and complain about. But
I loved also that he had really good, he was just such a good person. Yeah. He had such good morals. And so he did leave that past or that, to just try to start over. And he didn't overstep and say I'm this, the son of this really big guy. He just wanted to stand alone and he just wanted to do good.
And he just wanted to be himself too. And then that also then influences the other characters. He has a sister who the only thing she ever wanted was to be in his position. She wanted the martial arts training. She wanted to be the dad's favorite child. And that was never the case. And to be honest, it was because she was a girl.
Oh, for sure.
And so then, again, to rewrite Asian stereotypes, where the movie leaves her off, she ends in a position of where she has more control over her own life. Yeah. Again, she has a very rounded arc as well. Everybody does. Everybody in the movie is incredibly well written. Yeah. And there's nobody who gets sidelined just for the sake of it. There's one super villain that kind of does, but who cares? Yeah. They weren't pivotal.
See, it's not even memorable.
Right. Oh no, I mean I know who the character is because I'm a nerd, but clearly I don't need to ask you why is this movie best of all?
I think we covered it.
I think we did. Yeah. So we'll close things out. Although I've enjoyed talking with you
this was fun.
And gushing about Shang-Chi.
When you talk about something that you truly love, it's fun.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason why people like listening to the show.
Imagine that.
Which surprised me. Someone who has not seen this, heard all of this and went, I'm convinced I want to watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Where can I do that? You can go on Disney Plus, along with DVD and digital. But if you have a Disney Plus account, which I assume most people do, a big assumption, but it's one of the best streaming services for families. So I would assume that people would have that. So you can go and watch it there. I will probably go and rewatch this movie. Because I tend to do that when
I know, right?
When I record something for Festival, I was I want to go back and watch that. Especially the movies.
Yeah, just talking about it is
So there's the what's what on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. If you have any other thoughts on the best the MCU has to offer, feel free to email us at mail@ScottyMeLad.com. Your letter might be read on the show. I wish I had a letter to read on the show. But if there was a place that someone could, I don't know, help produce and give money to this show, where could they find that?
Well, you can also support us on Ko-fi, at Ko-fi.com/ScottyMeLad.
So you're telling me that they can go to Ko-fi.com/ScottyMeLad?
Yes.
That's so cool.
By donating or giving monthly, you can gain access to behind-the-scenes content, engage with a community, and help us reach goals to improve our podcast.
You're telling me that by monthly donations or one-time donations, they can help make the podcast even better? Like, they can now see our beautiful faces?
Yeah, you see, this is all,
One's more beautiful than the other, and it's the one who's not wearing the glasses.
No, you are. You
No, you are.
No, you.
No, you are.
No, it's you. And so hopefully you've taken something out of this episode and you will give Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings, a shot.
You know what? I think I will.
Oh, well, there you go. But best of all, you were a listener. Aw. And we at ScottyMeLad, thank you.
Aw. And you know what? That is? That's my closer. Best of All was hosted and produced by Scott D. Forsyth, using the song Mia by Rolando Puchades from the album Canta as our intro and outro theme.